5 bank accounts and 4 landed properties belonging to former Executive Secretary of the Inter-Ministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization, Dennis Miracles Abuaje, have been frozen by an Accra High Court. The order follows an application by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, YOCO, as it intensifies investigations into the alleged misappropriation of about 55 million cedis in public funds. Miracles Abuaje and the former accountant are being investigated of allegations including theft, money laundering, causing financial loss to the state, and using public office for profit. Although he has since been granted bail after his arrest at the Accra International Airport, YOCO says investigations are ongoing and no criminal liability has yet been established. Well, let's bring in our legal affairs correspondent, Kweku Asante, for more on this development. Kweku, welcome to the program. What more do we know about this?
Well, yes, Ken, as you say, this is in relation to an allegation that Mr. Miracles Abuaje, while he served at the Inter-Ministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization, may have misappropriated or stolen some funds. Because this matter has not been charged in court yet, we do not have an idea of the specific charges or the specific case that YOCO is building against Mr. Dennis Miracles Abuaje. But on the basis of the ongoing investigation, YOCO has made an application to the Accra High Court seeking the freezing order of certain properties belonging to Mr. Dennis Miracles Abuaje. Under the law, under the YOCO Act, YOCO is able to undertake some initial freezing, and then as time goes on, they have to apply to a high court to get that confirmation of the freezing order. And that is what has happened. And so we are getting some more information as to what exactly the properties in questions are here. 5 bank accounts that are related to this, and all transactions on those bank accounts are now blocked. There is a 7-bedroom residential property in Latte. As we speak, it has also been frozen. What this means is that Miracles Abuaje cannot enter the premises of this property. There's another 2-bedroom residential property at Spintex that has also been frozen, a residential apartment complex at Adjungano here in Accra, and then approximately 15 acres of land situated in Latte. So these are the 4 landed properties in relation to this, and the 5 bank accounts in question: a 7-bedroom apartment in Latte, 2-bedroom in Spintex, a residential apartment complex in Adjungano, and 15 acres of land. And so this is the orders of the court granting the freezing order, and so these properties said to be belonging to Dennis Miracles Abuaje of the New Patriotic Party have now been frozen by the High Court, particularly on the say-so of YOCO, and they have that order and they went to the court for a confirmation order.
It's quite interesting because we know that the court went on recess last week, so many are wondering, how was this possible, this order?
Well, yes, it's true. The superior courts of judicature are on legal vacation, but it does not mean that every single court is shut down. There are what is called vacation courts that continue to sit even when the courts are on vacation. And so the Chief Justice has designated some courts, and this happens every year because the courts cannot be completely shut for 2 months because of the consistency in the need for people to go there for bail and other issues. So while generally superior court, that is the High Court, the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court are on bail, some of the high courts are designated as vacation courts. They continue to sit, and matters continue to be debated and discussed in those particular courts. And in particular, we know that certain oral courts, the special division of the court, as well as the criminal division, Justice Audrey Kokuvite, Justice Achibonga, are all sitting on oral cases. This case did not particularly go to them. But yes, like you said, even though the courts are on break, there are some courts that are designated as vacation courts that continue to sit within this period, Ken.
And then also you mentioned that some of the properties are residential apartments. Does it mean that the people, if there are any, renting the apartments and properties at the moment will have to vacate? What happens to them?
Well, yes, once this freezing order has been confirmed, usually that is what is going to happen. What the freezing order does is to preserve the status quo ante, because the investigative body continue to claim that they are still investigating the matter. And so they do not want this person who is subject to the investigation to dissipate those properties. And that is why they usually will freeze it. So if it's a bank account, it is frozen. You cannot withdraw money into it. You cannot put money into it until the investigation are completed or the freezing order lapses. When it comes to a residential property, even when people are living in, usually those people would have to vacate because of the pendency of the investigation that is going on. But those mechanics can always be worked on. There can be some sort of arrangement. If it's a residential complex that is for rent, all those issues may be dealt with. But generally, if a residential property is frozen, residents may be ejected for the purpose until those freezing orders lapses. Ken.
And have we heard anything from the camp of Miracles Abuaje concerning this?
Well, not as we speak. Dennis Miracles Abuaje, we should put on record, continues to maintain his innocence. We know that a couple of weeks back, Yoko did arrest him when he did arrive from a trip abroad, and he was detained for a couple of days. He was granted bail. That bail is still in force. Miracles is out as we speak. But as of the specifics of these freezing order, we are yet to hear from him. But we should say that he maintains that he's completely innocent of the charges or the allegations that are being made against him by Yoko and the state writ large.
Kweku Asante is our legal affairs correspondent. Thank you, as always, Kweku. Well, the government will this week begin discussions to review the payment arrangements of Ghanaian crude oil supplied to the Tema Oil Refinery following a directive from President John Mahama to explore settling payments for the crude in Ghana cedis instead of US dollars. Well, the proposed review is aimed at reducing TOR's reliance on the foreign exchange market to pay for domestically produced crude oil. Speaking at the commissioning of the refurbished Tema Oil Refinery Crude Desiltation Unit, Minister for Energy John Jinapor said the review follows concerns raised by the president over the existing framework, which requires TOR to source US dollars from the foreign exchange market to pay for crude oil deliveries. According to him, President Mahama questioned why the refinery, which processes crude oil and sells its petroleum products in Ghana cedis, should continue to rely on foreign currency to settle payments for crude supplies.
So when we talk about the reset agenda, this is the reset agenda. We are creating jobs. We are adding value. And yesterday when I went to Mr. President's house, he brought another angle. He said, you know, so when Tema Oil Refinery and Central, they take delivery of the oil, how do they pay? And I said, Mr. President, in accordance with the Petroleum Holding Fund and in accordance with the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, they have to go and look for dollars and pay in foreign currency. He gave me instructions. Unfortunately, the finance minister and the governor, they were around. He said, rethink. Take a second look at it. When Tema Oil Refinery takes the crude and they process and sell it in Ghana cedi, why don't we pay Ghana cedi into that account and use our own cedi rather than going to the forex and buying dollars? And then the governor said, yes, Mr. President, you are right. Because when we go to the market and we buy forex, we put pressure on our currency. We add cost to it. So next week, let's have a meeting so that we can restructure that. Ladies and gentlemen, now, Umpe President, we.
President Mahama in his speech said the government plans to restructure Tema Oil Refinery in order to permanently eliminate political interference in its work. He directed the Minister for Energy to work with the board and management of TOR to present the government with a strategic plan to expand capacity of the refinery to 100,000 barrels a day.
Today's ceremony should not be viewed as the end of the restoration program. Rather, it marks the beginning of a much bigger national ambition to build an integrated petroleum industry that serves our domestic economy, supports regional trade, and contributes meaningfully to Africa's industrial renaissance. In this regard, I'm pleased to announce that I've directed the Minister of Energy and Green Transitions to work with the board and management of TOR to present government with a strategic plan to expand the capacity of the refinery to 100,000 barrels a day. We will also restructure the Tema Oil Refinery in order that we permanently eliminate political interference in its work. 24-hour economy is coming. Thank you. That ambition is entirely consistent with our government's broader economic transformation agenda.
Let's bring in Benjamin Insia. He's an energy analyst. Benjamin, welcome to the program. 100,000 barrels per day from Tor. Is it doable?
It is, if you're able to get strategic partners to inject some capital resources as well as some human and technological resources to scale up this particular production in the medium term.
How do we do that, though? And how long is this likely to take?
So as we speak, I think Tor has a lot of liabilities, and for that matter, we may not be able to mobilize resources to kickstart this particular project. So what I think government is likely going to do is to open up for investment abroad or local persons or individuals or institutions that do have these resources or they have these capabilities to partner to embark on this project. Will be maybe will be spoken to show interest or some form of commitment. And if the process, due diligence are done, and these investors do have the capacity, I think the government will engage them. Beyond that, I also think that listening to the president, government is trying its possible best to list Tor on the stock. And I think that this listing also is likely going to increase the equity of various interests and also increase the capital base of Tor to be able to also embark on this project as a public liability company.
Right. Currently, Tor produces less than half of what the president is suggesting. What difference will that make if they are able to meet the 100,000 barrel per day?
The difference is that, one, there's likely going to be fair pricing of petroleum products locally because all the costs associated with petroleum pricing will be known and also be a bit transparent because total production will be able to meet total demand. Thereby, issues of premiums being quoted by BDCs will be dealt with. So there's likely going to be fair pricing. Beyond the fair price, I also think that when Tor begins to do 100,000, in addition to Centio, Ghana is likely going to have a new pricing regime within the petroleum downstream. Currently, we have price tickets of petroleum products, especially the finished products. When you watch MPA's website, normally we take prices from abroad, maybe some of the international trading platforms. We do so because most of these products are imported abroad. But if Tor and Centio are able to do what we consume and even export, it means that we need a pricing regime whereby we set our own benchmark prices. And these benchmark prices will also help stabilize and make sure our prices are comparatively cheaper. So the issue of fairness in pricing also come to play when Tor does this 100,000 barrels per day. Beyond that, I also think that it has macroeconomic impact, socioeconomic impact, and I think that if they, within the medium term, if they're able to do, it brings a lot of benefits to the general economy of Ghana.
Well, the president has also raised concerns about the transaction of business within the sector in this country in US dollar. He wants it to be transacted in Ghana cities. How possible is that?
The possibility depends on amending the Petroleum Revenue Management Act. I think that through that amendment, we'll be able to now begin to mobilize resources in CD and then allocate these resources to the various funds in the Act, because he mentioned petroleum holding funds. Some of the funds under this fund, like the Stabilization Heritage Fund, are supposed to be dollar rated funds or dollar deposit funds. So even if you sell the products to Tor in cities, still you need the dollars to be able to push into these funds. So we need amendment. If you're able to amend the Petroleum Revenue Management Act and insisting that every fund in that particular act must be a CD based fund or CD deposit fund, I think that it addresses this problem that the president mentioned.
But what concern is there as we speak right now that businesses are transacted in US dollar? Because even if it is going to be done in Ghana cedis as the president wants, that's going to be the dollar equivalent in cedis, no?
Yes, but one thing is that it helps address the issue of forex. So what it simply means is that we are likely not going to peg our pricing of petroleum products in dollars, but in cedis. As we speak today, when you pick the price from the international trading platforms, you are supposed to convert the price of these products into cedis based on the exchange rate. However, if you are getting the feedstock or the raw materials in cedis, it means that you are likely not going to quote the price of these products in dollars. And at any point in time, it makes your products quite cheaper. That's why I mentioned earlier that if Tor and Sentio are able to do our total demand.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.